Welcome back to Out of the Bubble. My name's Rachel Peru and I'm a grey-haired curve model and I'm going to be your host for the Out of Bubble podcast. I started a new career 4 years ago, aged 46, and found on social media so many amazing, inspiring women who were really embracing life and leaving a trail of inspiration along the way, helping to break down those stereotypical middle-aged barriers. So I thought the podcast would be a great way to share some of these stories with you. So season 3, I'm really excited to be back. I've been chatting with a diverse set of women of all ages, whose stories I know will help women become more confident in body and mind. So welcome back to what is now the third series of Out of the Bubble, and I'm really excited to be back. I've got lots of fantastic women and different groups on this podcast this time, so there'll be lots of different inspiring people coming on. And I'm starting off my first episode with Yvonne Copley, and Yvonne is the founder of Kyra, which is a women's charity. So welcome, Yvonne.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for meeting me today and taking some time out of your busy schedule. I would like to say before we start that I actually found out about Kyra because we're organising a Silver and Sassy hair event, fashion event, and we are holding it at Middlethorpe Hall as part of York Fashion Week, and our chosen charity is Kyra. So it makes it doubly special to be able to talk to Yvonne and find out more about the charity, as well as hopefully by the time we've done the event raising some funds for you.
Amazing. We're absolutely delighted that
I'm really excited.
Yeah.
So let's start with you. There's obviously a lot to talk about with Kyra, but I'd like to find out about the woman behind the idea. Okay. So what was your background before you did this?
Well, in my first life I was a teacher and then into psychology, and I worked in the prison service for 24 years as a trainer psychologist, and was spending far too much time away from home, and so decided that I will set up my own little business of writing rehabilitation change programs. And I then started to think, actually, the ones who we weren't touching particularly well within the prison service were women. And so I started looking at writing CBT programs for women. And that was fine for probably about 3 or 4 years. But at the back of all of this, having been a Samaritan for quite a few years, working in the prison service, I always felt there was something missing, and also that relates to my own personal life and some of the circumstances I found myself in. And it was about the fact that within York and possibly most cities, we're very, very good at crisis, very good. But I do believe that once we're out of crisis, we have to start to rebuild our lives. And there didn't seem anywhere to start to rebuild that life, because often your friends, your family actually talked out, and actually I just wanted to be me. Yeah. I didn't want to be a daughter or a sister or a wife or a mum or whatever else.
You just wanted to be Yvonne.
I just wanted to be Yvonne.
Yeah.
And So this is where the idea started, and it kind of bubbled around for about a couple of years until my husband got so fed up of hearing about it, and he said, for goodness sake, do something about it. So I gave up my job and spent a year researching, and it kind of reinforced what I felt, and there wasn't. And having spoken to lots of the voluntary sector, they were saying there was such a great need for it. So it was only going to be small. It was going to be maybe 2 half days a week where people can pop in, have a cup of tea, cup of coffee and a chat, and just relax. And here we are 6.5 years later, and we have we open 5 days a week, 3 evenings and alternate weekends, and we have touched over 1,300 women's lives.
That's amazing.
Which is quite...
Yeah,
well, it's almost not real.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? This was going to be something for maybe 20, 30 women. It'd be nice. Yeah, nice and comfortable. Yeah. And our numbers grow week on week. It's got to an extent now that women have to pre-book an appointment to actually come and enrol, because we couldn't actually manage it. So we're bringing in about 24 to 30 women a month.
Gosh.
And our waiting list for enrolment is 2 months in advance.
Oh, wow.
So it's...
That shows you the need out there.
It does
doesn't
indeed.
it? That's staggering, really.
Indeed,
It's quite frightening, really, isn't it?
It is. And I think the thing is, people find care a little bit bemusing, maybe, because we're not specialists in domestic abuse or drugs or alcohol. This is very much the second tier of recovery. This is about actually rebuilding your lives. And often our women come to us with very, very low self-esteem. Maybe had to move area, so no friends, family around. And actually going back to being who they really are. Yeah. And nobody's going to judge them. And I just feel incredibly privileged that these women share their lives with us, you know. Our youngest is 17, our oldest is 94. Wow. Which is incredible.
That's incredible.
They're lovely.
Yeah.
And they all support one another because they all know, not necessarily in detail, but they know that each other are actually facing some demons, and they support each other as well. So, yeah.
Wow, well done you. I mean, it's amazing. And can I ask, and this is cheeky, how old were you when you decided this is what you were going to do? I assume almost retirement age from the prison service.
I was 58.
Right.
Yeah. And yes. Retirement was going to be 60 now. Yeah. I'm still waiting for the pension, by the way. Oh, right. And I can say that I suppose I have totally dedicated my life to Kyra for the last 7 years. Yeah. And I don't get 1 minute of it. Frustrations, yeah. I'm sure. But no, and it's re-energised me. It's really motivated and excited me. You know, it's been a wonderful experience.
So really, it's given you a second lease of life again. It's been a different stage in life, hasn't it? As well as...
If anybody had told me I would do this, I would have said, no. And actually, okay, I might have done it, like I said, for 2 afternoons or 2 mornings or whatever a week. Not to the extent. I mean, we've just done our statistics for our average footfall for a week. So that takes into consideration all holidays and things when we're much quieter, and we have about 132 women come to us each week.
Gosh, that's a lot of women, isn't it?
It is a lot of women. Yeah.
And volunteers.
Oh, that isn't including the volunteers, but we have 43 volunteers. Right. Which are the backbone of Kyra. Yeah. You know, we've no regularly paid staff here. We do run on a voluntary basis. So not only do they have to make the teas and coffees and wash up the pots, but they have to be great listeners and be there and support. Yeah. And it sounds as though it's quite a sad place, but in actual fact, it's a lovely
atmosphere, because this is the second time I've been here, and it is. There's always things going on, isn't there? Yeah. Different things.
Yeah, and there's a happiness about it.
Yes, there is.
Yeah. And the women say they feel very safe here, and they refer to Kyra as their family. You know, so a very extended family, I kind of guess, but they consider it their family, and the fact that they feel safe is very important to some of them.
There's something really special I found about women supporting other women.
It's very empowering.
It really is, isn't it?
It's very powerful. Yeah, very powerful.
No, well, this is just a perfect example of that.
Yeah, it is. It is, and I think we're quite unique in the way of just being women, and we're not anti-men. It's not that we're anti-men. But I think, and I think possibly, I feel quite strongly that there should be something very similar for men.
Yes. Which I'm guessing there probably isn't.
There isn't, really. No. Not to this extent. No. And I think there's an element of men do find it more difficult, and we know what the suicide rates are, and it's not good. And as somebody once said to me, well, why haven't you set one up for a man? Well, hello. Maybe I'm not of the right gender, because I think relationships with the opposite gender it kind of gives you permission to be who you are, without having to be something that somebody expects you to be. Yeah. But I do feel there should be something for men.
I know, I completely agree.
Yeah.
In amongst all of this, when you think of the careers that you've had, so obviously the prison service would have been really tough, and I can imagine you have dealt with all sorts of different things. Yeah, same with the Samaritans. Yeah. How do you emotionally switch off from all that, and then now doing this? Does it feel like a burden sometimes? Has it?
Sometimes it's heavy, And I think it's about being really self-aware. I think it's really important that we take time out and think, actually, you know, what are your buttons? Where are your vulnerable spots? I know if I'm very tired, I absorb more than I should do. I know if I'm hungry, I'm grumpy. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's about knowing that, and it's also having a wonderful team around you who actually, we watch out for each other all the time. And I always say to our volunteers, you're the most important people to me, because if you're not in good places, we can't help the women. It is about very much a support mechanism, and it's support right from the bottom way all the way to the top. So it is about. I'm not very good at taking time out. I do hasten to add. I'm very good at telling people.
Did you take some time off at Christmas? Did you have some time off?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I did. Took a few days off, but we then came and had a good spring clean, because the other thing that winds me up too terribly is mess. Right. And I can't do with chaos. So we came and had a really good clear out of all sorts of stuff, because we're always reluctant to throw anything away, because things don't come, money doesn't come to us easily. So we'll, we recycle and recycle, but it gets to a stage actually when it is time to say goodbye to something. So we had a very cleansing process just after.
It's quite therapeutic, isn't it?
It was wonderful. I loved it, every minute of it.
It was interesting. Before we started the interview, you were saying that obviously you've come back now in January and it's a really busy time. And I hadn't really thought about it, but you were saying that Christmas is really quite a rise in domestic abuse and
I think
relationship problems and
I think, don't we have Divorce Day or something in January, something awful, whatever they call it. I suppose alcohol's involved, actually having to spend time with people, very intense time. Media makes it out that we must have the most wonderful time in the world, and you'll have the most wonderful presents and everything will be glorious. And when it doesn't fulfil that, I think a lot of people feel very, very disappointed and possibly feel that they've failed.
It's a lot of pressure, isn't there?
There is a lot of pressure. There is a lot of pressure. And I think if I could ever do anything in the future, it would be about giving people permission to say, no, you don't need to do this. Because when the women come back and you sort of say, how was it? It's fine, it's gone, Yvonne. It's gone, it's finished. And I survived, but that was it. Well, why do we do it?
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
And I do it. And every year I say, I'm not going to get on this bandwagon, but we all get back on it. And I think time really is time that we actually stood our corner and said, actually, we're not doing this anymore. And I don't know who we're going to disappoint, because I think we all know the people around us, and who are we disappointing? Perhaps shopkeepers might be a bit disappointed in us, or the supermarkets, otherwise, So it's always very, very difficult. We always open between Christmas and New Year.
That's really good.
Just to check, so people can check in if they want to check in. And interestingly enough, we're never particularly busy. And the most vulnerable will come to us during that period, but generally not. But the week after Christmas, oh boy, does it start. So by the end of the month, beginning of February, things will hopefully settle down again. But we do have a big peak at this time.
What do you think? Because obviously the numbers that you've just said about the women that you get through the door each month is huge, really.
Each week.
I mean, that's a lot of women, isn't it?
It is a lot of women.
So where are we going wrong in society that we're getting to this point where women have to come out and find services like this?
I think what is interesting, when we first started, our average age was 55, 65. Our average age is now around about 30, 35.
Right.
So they're getting younger. I think there's so much expectation. I don't think social media helps.
No.
But I think there is so much pressure to be something that society says you should be. And I don't think perhaps we're empowering our youth, our children, to the extent we should do. That isn't about being bullshit or egocentric. It's just about saying, I'm okay. I'm fine. And actually, no, I don't have to perform. But a lot of people, I mean, this last few months, we've set up a young persons group, 17 to 25-year-olds. Right. And to see that vulnerability there, the bullying that goes on, the cyberbullying, you know. Yeah. And of course it knocks confidence. So they're not meeting expectation. So they think they're failures. Yeah. So actually to think you're a failure at 17...
That's really sad, isn't it?
Is really sad. Yeah. Really sad.
Yeah. And so really it goes back into almost schools need to be looking at how they talk to young people.
I think so. I think so. I mean, I'm sure lots of things contribute. Yeah. And I know, gosh, I remember my mum saying, in my day when, and I don't want to go back saying, in my day when, but I do believe we're more materialistic than we've ever been.
Yes.
So that need for mum and dad to work full time is there. That pressure's there. Yeah.
So there's maybe not much stability in the home.
I don't know how much time is actually spent on just sitting in having conversations. I'd love to know how many people sitting around a table as a family to have a meal once a day. Yeah. Because that's a good place to have a conversation, isn't it?
Yeah, it's something I've always done with my kids, and now two of them have moved out, and I do really miss that.
Yeah,
because it is that time to just catch up with them and say, okay, how's your day been? Yeah. What have you got? You know, do you want to get anything off your chest? Just to check in with them, really.
Yeah. It is a good time, and sometimes we're so busy with life we forget to check in with anybody, don't we? And you know, I think the one thing that Kyra can offer and does offer, and I think is probably the most powerful, is somebody to listen. And it's just being there, walking alongside somebody and saying, "You okay?" And okay, we might trip, we might stumble, but you know, we're not looking down on you.
Yeah, there's no judgment.
You know, we're picking you up. Yeah. And I think I don't understand why we have 1,300 women enrolled with us.
Yeah.
It's quite frightening, isn't it?
Well, what's even more frightening, though, Yvonne, is if you weren't here, which obviously in other cities across the country, there won't be this facility. Yeah. So then what happens to those women? Yeah. That's even more frightening, isn't it?
Well, I think, I suppose my prison life was very much about prevention of relapse. Yeah. And sort of, I think, giving a woman, okay, you can come for counselling and you can have 6 sessions. And we had one woman who came to us and she said to me that she'd actually been offered counselling and she was offered 6 sessions. And she said, I walked away. I thought, I don't even know this woman. And she wants me to bare my soul to her in 6 sessions.
Yeah.
And she said, she said she was terrified that they were going to open up something and it wasn't going to be resolved. Yeah. We're fortunate in the way of, we don't have any money, so we don't have any targets. Yes. We're not tick box. Yeah. So we can keep a woman in counselling for a year, 2 years, however long she needs to be there. Yeah. What we want to do is get a woman where she will continue upwards, not actually go back. Yeah. And because of our arrangement and everything else, we're in a position to do that.
Do any of the women that have come through here then go on to become volunteers?
They do indeed, yeah. We've got 4 and we have another 2 due to join us in September.
That's brilliant.
Very good, really. And they're wonderful because some of them will go out and do fundraisers for us and, it's sort of just that contact. I mean, some of our women, we had one a couple of weeks ago. We hadn't seen her for about 2 years, and she just popped in to say, "I feel really bad. I've not been to visit, but I just want you to know life's
just getting
really
on with life. Good,
life's good, and that's fine.
That's how what you do it for, isn't it?
That's right. Yeah. We don't get any other reward apart from just seeing them fly. And when once they fly, it's wonderful. Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah.
So there's no government funding for this kind of thing. This is all.
Doesn't appear to be, Rachel.
No. I mean, that's... Yeah. I mean, I can see it because there's cuts everywhere, isn't there?
Yeah, there is.
But how much pressure does that put on you then each year to fund it?
Well, it is a big pressure all the time. It's a constant pressure because what happens is lots of people won't give us core funding. Core funding being rent and just the everyday running costs, which we know are about 32,000.
Right.
which, if you say it quickly, doesn't sound a lot, but to a small charity,
it is to find. Yes,
we have to find 32,000. Yeah. So people, we find people are really good to sponsor or fund projects. So we have some people who are paid to run different programs. So at the moment, for example, we run a menopause group. We run a young person's group. We've got an outreach worker. So funders are happy to fund those, but everything we do, we have to just build in a little bit of room rent.
Yeah.
So we're building £100 here and £100 there, and then we have the generosity of the funders. Then we have perhaps different organisations who have maybe had some involvement who support us. And then we have people who are just generous enough to donate and make a donation. And I always find that's quite a mystery, because we do go out and speak to organisations and share our work, but I find it always amazing how often we touch somebody.
Yeah.
And the other day we got a cheque for £2,000.
Oh wow, that's
and
amazing.
This was just to say thank you. Don't know why we're being thanked. Yeah. We just got a beautiful £2,000 cheque.
That's fantastic.
Which is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, celebrations,
yeah.
2 cups of tea that morning. So, it isn't easy. No. It isn't easy at all. But we keep surviving. I don't know how it happens, but we do. And it's meant to be, I think. And sort of different in the room. We had this refurbished through funding from Asda and things like that. Yeah. So we're constantly looking for funding revenues, really.
When you first set it up, and you obviously went out and did your research and talked to the other services that were provided in the area, how supportive were they of you setting this up?
Yeah, I think it was to a certain extent, because I'd never worked in the charity sector before, so I really didn't know a great deal about it. But it was a kind of, yes, that's nice, that's a good idea. Yeah, that'll be good. Yeah. Now, a great deal of support, because actually we're a great referral from them for when they've completed their work. That was
my next question. I was going to say, do you now find that they're working with you?
They refer to us a lot. Yeah.
Which then it makes the money situation even more frustrating, because they're quite often government services that are then forwarding their clients onto you without the funding.
Well, 48% of our referrals are through the NHS.
Yeah.
So that's GPs, mental health, wherever. And we don't get any funding through the NHS. And I think then about 30% are from other organisations within the city. So we're talking IDAS, Mind, Changing Lives, all those kind of people who refer on. And the thing is, we haven't to allow that frustration maybe of other organisations, because we have to always remember it's the woman we're talking about here. Yeah. And as long as we keep that in focus, we're okay. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. But you could actually you could be involved with all this frustration of they get all this money and whatever else. But sometimes, because I think sometimes if you do end up with government funding, they become very target led, and
that's not what you're about, is it?
And we like the funding. Yeah. And that's not to be greedy, it's just to take some pressure off us. Of course. But we don't really want to be target-led, because actually I believe that a woman goes on a journey at a different pace. Yeah. And to say, actually, we've got to have 10 women completed this, and this by the end of...
It's unrealistic, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think it's just a recipe for a woman to go back. Yeah. So there are good things about it.
Yes. What's the kind of biggest issue that women come here with? Is it domestic abuse?
Mental health. Depression, anxiety, stress, low self-esteem. That could have come from domestic abuse. That could have come from drugs, alcohol, loneliness, isolation, bullying. You name it. It happens. But those are the kind of core stuff. Yeah. They're broken. Yeah. Somebody once said to me, "You work with broken women," and I thought, actually, I think you're right. I think we do. Heather, who's working with you.
Yes, so we met Heather yesterday. We did a fashion shoot in the centre of York. It was absolutely freezing. Had to wear t-shirts, and she was amazing. She was a breath of fresh air. But she did say, and she was really touching. But she said, Kyra saved her life. Really, she really did. She could not, speak highly of this place, and I could see how she said she's got a second life again. And she's she's older now, and she's just loving life, isn't she?
She is. She lives life, doesn't her? But one of the poetry group and the art group put together a book called Reflections, and one of the pieces of poetry in the book is about I was broken. And actually it's very poignant, it's about how that woman came in and she was broken, and she explains and how Kyra put her back together. And it's a very, very simple content, but I think that actually kind of sums us up, really. So
a real success story.
Heather's delight.
Yes,
absolutely. I've got lots of.
And I think what's important to recognise about this place is, because obviously you're talking about really serious issues that some of these women have come in with, but you do so many positive, great, different activities and groups. So what kind of things do the women do? So you've got the garden, haven't you? Now we've got
the garden. We have kind of our core activities, which are the more serious stuff. So things like we have the counselling, we have the Freedom Programme, which is domestic abuse. We have the MODA Programme, which is about domestic abuse, a shorter programme. We have a loss group, so that's helping women to deal with any kind of loss. So, automatically you think of a friend, a partner, it's death. But actually it could be a loss of a friendship, it could be a loss of a relationship, a home or whatever else. We do basic things like the self-esteem group. We never advertise our self-esteem groups because they're always booked up at least 9 months in advance and this kind of thing. But we also believe very strongly that our women aren't very good at nurturing themselves. They've never had time out and sort of thought, I'm worthy of doing that. So we have lovely things like mindfulness, sound meditation, Reiki, reflexology. We do hypnotherapy, and we have a singing. We have Kyra voices. We don't call it a choir. You might, if you hear it. We do drama. We do drama groups. We have iMuse. I don't know if you ever know, but this is I must have a go one day. And they go into a quietened room, which I'd like to do most days. And there's a special bed, which actually is like a massage bed, and then they have music.
Oh, lovely!
Which is lovely, So we have cookery sessions going on. And then once a month we have a poetry lunch where women come and share either poetry they've written or pieces of poetry that they like and enjoy. And then we have another week we have a shared lunch where everybody just brings in a little bit of food because weekends can be a bit challenging and a bit difficult. And so, constant. It's constant.
It's all building confidence and self-esteem, isn't it? In a lovely way.
It's about actually starting to like yourself again for some of the women,
And not feeling guilty. Women, I don't know why, but why do we all put this guilt on ourselves? We do.
We are.
I still find it sometimes if I take an hour off just to do nothing, there's that, I should be doing something.
One of my prize questions to a woman would be, okay, if you go home this afternoon and I say to you, go home, run a bubble bath and have a bath, say 2:00 in the afternoon, and the look of horror that comes across, I couldn't do that. Why couldn't you do that? Well, I've never done that. It doesn't mean you can't do that. I said, you ought to try it one day. It's really decadent and indulgent.
Yeah, it is. It feels lovely.
But get out and say, actually, I deserve that. I think it's about actually building self-worth and making them, let them see what we see in them.
Yes.
Which is a lot of loveliness. Yeah. And they don't see that in the mirror. And for a lot of women, social isolation is a big problem. So we do a lot of crafting, and so they can sit around the table and share some kind of craft work, but they don't actually have to interact.
Right.
But actually being part of something is a sense of belonging. Yeah. And over a period of time, their confidence grows, and they'll start to interact and come up with ideas and start creating and making and all. Creativity
is a really interesting thing, isn't it? Because it does allow your mind, even if you're not very good at it, to be able to just switch off and concentrate on something else.
Yeah,
And it makes you feel better.
Well, they say, you know, when we have 2 drop-ins a week, where women don't need to book in advance, and they just pop in, have a drink and a chat and do some crafting. And for some of them, they say it is just a head clearer for 3 hours. I come and I'm chatting about all sorts of things, and we're doing some crafting and whatever's going on. You know, we're lucky people like Lush come in and do sessions with us, which is fabulous, and they absolutely love that. So yeah, people who'll come in and do. Well, I think we're just very, very fortunate. We're just taking on 2 more new counsellors, fully qualified, fully experienced. Just want to put something back to women. We're very good at that, with women, aren't we? Yeah, we are. You know, women together.
There's something special about it. We can achieve a lot together.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. It's very empowering, and I think there's a satisfaction to give back. And sometimes our women are engulfed in so much pain and anxiety and things. But at Christmas we have what we call the angel tree. And what we do with the angel tree is that lots and lots of angels go on it, and they choose somewhere where the gifts can go. So this year we sent them to Refugee Action York, and the refugee Ray told us who they wanted them for. So a boy of 6 or a girl of 10 or a mum or whatever. And we put these on the tree, and the women take them away and either make something or buy something, wrap it up and put the angel on and write a message.
That's lovely.
And you know, that tree was laden. We must have had 60 gifts under the tree this year.
That's so lovely.
Which is fabulous.
Yeah.
And they love to see that.
Yeah.
And they love to be
things like that
of
are so special, aren't they?
Yeah. So we try and make them aware of that, you know, try and get them involved with maybe some of the fundraising things, because I think it's sometimes they're deprived of certain sensations, that sensation of giving to receive and things like that, and lots of experiences they've never had. They don't understand. And I think sometimes also people get confused with us as well, because I think they think we're of a certain economic, social standing. We're very much not. Very much not. You know, negative things can happen to any woman.
Yeah, of course they can.
You know, and that's a wonderful thing about it. You know, we have barristers here, we have lecturers from the university here, we've got a GP here, and we've got young women who possibly have got a very large family, and they're not working and maybe never worked, but they were all in there together, and it's just lovely. It's
breaking down those barriers, isn't it?
Absolutely fabulous. And then we have things that they do all the hard work, really. They form their own groups, so we've got 8 women who meet once a week in each other's homes and do art. We've got another group which actually came from backgrounds of domestic abuse, but they meet out once a week and go for coffee. And then built up those friendships, you know. Okay, we might have been the nucleus for it to form, but
then it's gone on to something else blossomed.
Because, you know, they have to take that journey. You know, there's only so much we can do for them. But
where do you see it in 10? Where would you like to see it in kind of 10 years' time?
What I'd love is for Kyra and all the other women's support groups, so things like people like York Counselling Service, IDAS, I know they work with men as well, but the female side of that, the female side of Changing Lives, all to be in one building. So a woman is coming to a centre for women, and they don't have to go and knock on another door, or they don't have to keep moving around. And I think that would bring better links of all the organisations working with women in York together, and we would be more powerful that way. But you find us a building that we could possibly afford. And I think maybe one day, you never know, but I think there should be carers all over the place. Everyone.
Well, do you have many links with similar things to this?
There's a women's forum. We on that forum are organisations that work within York who meet together. It's relatively new. It's only about 6 months old, but the idea is about the sharing and seeing how we could support each other. Some of the organisations are financially much better off than we are, But it's about looking at their needs, or they'll look at our needs and say, actually, we can help you with that, or we've got a space, you can use that space, or whatever. I always said we were never actually set up to compete with anybody. No. We're here to complement what's going on. Yeah. Ours is a very, very simple model. Very simple.
Yeah, but it's
model.
working.
But it works.
Yeah.
And it's why does it need to be complicated? It doesn't really. But yeah, lots of, we've had Moulton and Selby and Northallerton, Easingwold, Tadcaster. And there's a very, very local people saying, could you set up a satellite one here? Well, yeah, we could, but we're not because we haven't got the woman power to be able to do that. And actually, it does take a lot of planning and organising. And somebody said it's so relaxed, so calm. And I think actually, if they saw what went on in the office, they might not.
On a Monday morning.
But,
I think it's brilliant. I think what you do here, all of you, is fantastic. I really do, and I think it takes a lot of commitment from you and from all the volunteers here to make it work, which is really special.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you. And I can't wait to get our events up and running so that we can raise some money for you. And just, it's amazing what you're doing. I really think I think there should be more things like this, but thank goodness that you're here doing it. So
that's really kind.
No, it's a pleasure. I've been blown away by everything that you do here. It's quite touching, really.
Thank you.
Thank you. So, last three questions. What song always motivates you? Because I know you do music.
My song has to be I Have a Dream.
Right.
In fact, it's so much so that the members now know it, and at Christmas they sang it to me. This is Yvonne's dream. So it has to be that.
Brilliant. Yeah. And what's about a book?
Jonathan Livingston Seagull.
Oh, I love that book. Yes, I've just got my daughters to read that. It's brilliant.
Absolutely lovely. Yeah. Very simple, very deep as well. Yeah. And I think actually it kind of, flying, just getting away from expectation and being different. Yeah. And I think that's what we like to be. Yeah.
I hope they read that in schools. I don't know if they do actually, but I wish they would.
Yeah,
it'd be great.
It's a beautiful book.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
And who inspires you?
The women. It has to be the women. Yeah.
Well, fabulously, because you inspire me, so thank you. So thank you so much. And if you'd like to find out more about the amazing charity, go to kyra.org.uk. And you can also find them on Instagram and Twitter at Kyra Women, and Facebook Kyra-Women's Project. And there will be more to come when we do our event, so we'll be showing more behind the scenes. So thank you so much.
Fabulous.
Thank you. So, as I've already mentioned, we have Heather, who is one of the Kyra ladies that's been coming to Kyra for about 2.5 years, who has really kindly volunteered as one of our grey-haired models. So I met her yesterday for the first time, and she is such a fantastic lady. And she really touched me because she said that basically Kyra had really saved her life and completely changed her life around. She was really struggling at home on her own, and now has got a new zest for life, and she is a force to be reckoned with. And one thing that I found particularly interesting was that she used to write poetry and write creative writing when she was younger, and she's now in her late 70s and has started writing again. And she's written, as part of Kyra, have done a book, a collection of poems written and illustrated by the members of the Kyra's Women Project, and the book's called Reflections. And Heather has written a really lovely poem about what Kyra means to her, so I thought it would be a nice thing to do to share it with you. I ring on your bell, I have been living in hell. Put me together again, please put me together again. Out there in the cold, I have to be bold. Put me together again, please put me together again. I lived in my bed and wished I was dead. Put me together again, please put me together again. I walked into the calm, you hold out your arm. We'll put you together again, come. We'll put you together again. You have given me hope and helped me to cope. Kyra put me together again. You put me together again. Life has been hard. I was dealt the wrong card. Kyra put me together again. Yes, you put me together again. All who come must agree that we all feel and see. Kyra put us together again. Yes, you put us together again. Your chorus shout loud. You should feel very proud. We have put you together again. yes, we have put you together again. And that's why we are supporting Kyra Charity for our Silver and Sassy event. Thank you for listening to this week's Out of the Bubble, and I hope it's left you feeling inspired. I'd love to hear from you. Who inspires you and why? Please get in touch. You can contact me via my website, rachelperumodel.com, or leave a message on the Anchor app. And if you're listening via iTunes, don't forget you can leave feedback. In the meantime, keep being fabulous.